So I will be beginning the meeting until we seat the new president for the 2025 year. So at this time, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you'd like to please stand and join us. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think I implied it, but I will officially call this meeting to order. The meeting of January 13th, 2025. And we're going to begin with the oath of our new members who are re-elected. So Mr. Herbert is a notary public and will administer the oath to our newly re-elected board members. Mr. Herbert.
Right. We can get Dr. Schaefer.
I hope so. You all go up there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Finger on the Bible. One time, one go.
Mr. Hemsel, Mrs. Ward, and Mrs. Cherry.
We on here? Oh, there we go. Okay. We'll have one of you hold it and the rest of you put your hands on it. And then, there you go. All right. So you're going to repeat after me. So I, and state your name,
I, Christina Ward,
solemnly swear or affirm
affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the laws of the United States and the State of Indiana.
and the laws of the United States and the State of Indiana.
I will faithfully execute
I will faithfully execute
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as a member of this governing body,
as a member of this governing body,
so help me God.
so help me God.
All right. Thank you.
While we're transitioning here, I want to point out that the month of January is National School Board Member Appreciation Month. So board members, you have a little treat there for you at your place. Just a small recognition for what you do. But we certainly want to thank you and appreciate you for the work that you do as a school board member in the state of Indiana and here particularly in Danville Community School Corporation. So thank you, and audience members, as you have an opportunity to express your appreciation to board members here and maybe across the state that you may know, it'd be a good opportunity to do that here in the month of January. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Now we're going to begin formally with the board reorganization, election of officers. To begin with, we will take a nomination for the office of president.
I'm going to make a nomination we're going to leave the board as it was in 2024, would be Beth Cherry as president, Austin Brown as vice president, and Christina Ward as secretary.
Second.
I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to remain with the current slate of officers as was 24 for the year 2025. Any discussion?
I don't think so.
No? With no discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you and congratulations, officers. This is my favorite time because now I get to turn the meeting over to the new board president, Mrs. Cherry. Congratulations.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is establish 2025 meeting dates and times. Dr. Schaefer.
Thank you, Mrs. Cherry. The board meeting proposed times for February of this year through January of 2026 are in the board packet. The nice thing I can tell you is this year we did not have to move dates around to work around fall break or things like that. So I believe every one of these dates as proposed does land on the traditional second Monday of the month without having to make too many changes there. So the slate of dates proposed is what I would recommend.
All right, I need a motion to approve the 2025 meeting dates and times as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Ward. Comments or questions?
Question about on the July meeting. We kind of did this last year, but this is basically a personal issue I have going on the 14th of July. We did it the week, like the 9th or 10th last year. Is there any chance we could do that again? Does that,
Bump something to fair.
it coincides with the Hendricks County Fair, yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, we can definitely make it. That is the second Monday of the month. That's traditional date. But if we need to
I
adjust
think
that.
so. Hang on, let me think about something. I think I'm speaking out of turn, so I think we're fine on the 14th, because I think actually the fair, no, I think it is the 13th through the 19th, isn't it?
I'll look.
Give you a second here to check that out. I'm looking at other possible dates. The challenge with going on the 9th, we can make anything happen
It
the
is
board
there.
needs to. The week before is the week of the 4th, which creates some vacation challenges for people preparing the board packet, but within our offices. But again, we'll make work.
If the 9th won't work,
I think the
can
last
make
time we
do.
just bumped it to the Wednesday before. That's
Yeah.
what we did this past year. 24.
Yeah, totally different calendar and how that worked. But again, we will make work what we need to. Is that the week of the fair?
Yes.
It is.
Okay.
It is. I have some other obligations that week, but I mean, I can probably make it. If it wasn't going to be a huge deal, I'd ask to move it to the Wednesday of the 9th. If it is, I'm fine with the 14th. It's whatever. I didn't know how big a deal it would be for you guys coming off your. Moratorium.
We'll make happen what we need to make happen. So I don't know how the other board members.
I'm good with either date.
It doesn't matter to me. Typically, July is our shortest meeting of the year because there's not a lot on the
Right,
agenda.
right. So
If you'd like to be here, the 9th is fine. We did that last year.
I'd like to do it the 9th.
I'm not.
Let's do the
I'm good.
9th.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Yep, you bet. So let's make that notation. Do we have a motion?
We need a motion to change the July date.
Well, I think we could take a motion with the amended
Okay.
date for the entire slate.
We do have a motion. We're ready to
Yeah,
vote.
Well, do we want to amend the motion then?
The amended motion, I'd make the motion that we change the July meeting from the 14th to the 9th. Leave all the rest of the dates work. Second that, Jim.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Next item on the agenda. Oop, I've lost my place here.
1.6.
Establish compensation for board members, Dr. Schaefer.
Yes, the limits for compensation for the board were established last February when the IPS board essentially establishes that max rate for the state. So there really don't need to be any changes to that. We also thought this would be a good opportunity to discuss with board members when you will be compensated. Currently, members are compensated twice annually, with the second of those payments occurring in the late fall. That traditionally has been on let me back up and talk about summer. The second payroll in June is when the first half is paid, and then the first payroll in December, which typically covered the December meetings. A few years ago, the board wanted to move that second payment to the second payment in November to get further ahead of the holidays. Makes me no difference how you would like to do that, but I wanted to check with the board to see which you would prefer. I don't think the June date's been a problem. That's kind of the first half. The second half, we can either do that second payroll in November, or we can do it the first payroll in December.
How many pay periods are there in a calendar year for the school corporation?
26.
When is the last one?
That would be the second one in December.
All right, let's make a motion and then we'll talk about it. Motion to approve compensation for board members as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hensel. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Ward.
I think if we're doing this as a motion to be voted on, are you going then, is this in policy, is what you're saying?
I think this is just whatever the board chooses to do.
Then as a board member, you don't get to say when I get paid. It should be within the confines of the calendar year of things that you've earned, and it should follow unless you can give some valid reason as to why it wouldn't occur the last pay period in June and the last pay period of December. For example, if you had not been reelected to the board this year, the fiasco that we experienced here in December, you wouldn't have got that pay until June of the next year.
Yep. And I think it's up to the board's discretion. I think the last time it was changed, it was the board's decision to do that. So if we want to go with June and December, if everyone is okay with that, I don't particularly, doesn't matter to me. June and December is fine with me.
I just think it makes sense that
Okay.
you capture everything within the correct tax
Yeah, I
year.
mean, keeps
I
it
think that
cleaner.
makes sense,
Yeah, this
yeah.
is due June and December.
And so it'd be the last pay period in June, the last pay period in December, unless you get to some obscure year where the last pay period in the calendar year falls before December meetings. Now, of course, if the past pay period of the year falls in the middle of December and there's an emergency meeting over Christmas break, then that would roll over to the next one because there are no more pay periods in that particular month.
That's perfectly fine, however the board would like to do that.
But I still don't quite see it as a motion unless we're putting it into policy.
Well, we made the motion, so now we're going to decide if this is how we want to be compensated and the dollar amount. We're talking about the dollar amount and the time frame.
Yeah.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments?
Well, my comment is, why does IPS get to set the rates? How's that work?
I don't know the complete history, but I know how that's been for years and years, and that's how it was set in statute, so.
And that could
What-
possibly,
what if they-
I think
what if
probably
they
because they were
dissolve
the,
the IPS?
probably because they were the
Yeah.
largest
Well,
school
that'll be
district in the
interesting. That
state.
will be.
Yeah,
But it's
I'm
in
guessing it's
statute.
because they were the largest district in the state at that time.
gotcha. Okay.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda, appointment of Corporation Treasurer, Dr. Schaefer.
Yes, the board by statute has to appoint a corporation treasurer who cannot be a board member, and it cannot be the superintendent. Traditionally, it is the school corporation treasurer, so I recommend Mrs. Kim Baker again as a corporation treasurer for this position.
Motion to approve School Corporation Treasurer as presented.
so moved.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hensel. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda, appointment of legal counsel, Dr. Schaefer.
Thank you, Mr. Terry. I recommend the board continue to use Terry Kessinger with Kendall Wood Lowry and Kessinger for general counsel, and to continue to further utilize special counsel such as Church, Hiddle and Antrim, and Kroger, Gardis, and Regis for specialized areas such as special ed or labor law issues as we've used here for the last several years.
Motion to approve appointment of legal counsel as submitted.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Ward. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hensel. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Appointment to the Town of Danville Park Department Board, Dr. Schaefer.
Thank you, Mr. Cherry. The single applicant we received was from Mike Corbett of 600 East Broadway Street in Danville. We did earlier receive a application from Tim McRoberts, who has been serving in this capacity for the past year. Mr. McRoberts has been appointed to the Redevelopment Commission Board and does not want to serve on both. So Mr. Corbett is the single person who completed the application materials as posted. Again, the board may choose any qualified applicant who lives in Center Township, but Mr. Corbett did apply.
Motion to approve appointment to the Town of Danville Park Department Board as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Ward. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda, Students of the Month, Dr. Schaefer.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Cherry. And we do have our Students of the Month to be presented this evening, and we're going to start off with North Elementary. And Mrs. Perkins, are you ready? She's going to present our Student of the Month from North Elementary. Now, parents, grandparents, if you'd like to take a picture and move more towards the front to be able to do that, you are welcome to do so as your child is introduced.
Well, good evening. I am happy to introduce Maverick Carroll, North Elementary Student of the Month for December. Maverick is the son of Mallory and Matthew Carroll, and he is a kindergarten student in Mrs. McAfee's class. In Mrs. McAfee's class, Maverick enjoys centers time, but the thing he really likes to do is make crafts. They recently did a bird craft that he is especially proud of. And with that in mind, it won't be a surprise that his favorite related arts class is art, where he gets to make more crafts. Maverick has lots of friends at school, and he enjoys playing tag with those friends during outdoor recess. If he could change one thing to make North Elementary a better place, he would make it so his preschool teachers, Miss Cecily and Miss Maddie, could come with him to kindergarten. At home, Maverick has an older brother and a younger sister. He likes to spend his time playing video games. His brother got a PS5 for Christmas, and Maverick especially likes to play the Spider-Man 2 game on that. When he isn't playing video games, he likes to play Spider-Man with his little sister. He shared that the thing he likes most about his mom and dad is that they do good stuff for him and give him stuff when he is good, and that his mom reads to him. He helps around the house sometimes and even does his own laundry, which was very impressive. If Maverick were in charge for a full day, he would take his family and his friends to urban air to play and then to McDonald's to eat. When he grows up, Maverick would like to be a police officer. His dad is a cop, and Maverick believes that the best thing about his dad's job is getting to stop bad guys. Our Student of the Month committee members were in full support of Maverick's nomination, and Mrs. Starks added, Maverick does a fantastic job in art. He has fun in art and also puts forth great effort. He is a great example for others. Mrs. McAfee nominated Maverick and had the following to say about him. Maverick's kindness shines through in everything he does, whether he's helping a classmate who is struggling with a task or sharing his supplies without hesitation. He consistently shows care and empathy for others. His warm smile and encouraging words make everyone feel welcome and included. Maverick is great at making his classmates and teachers laugh, lightening the mood during challenging moments. His jokes and playful attitude bring energy and positivity to the classroom, creating a fun and engaging environment for everyone. Maverick's actions leave a lasting impact on everyone he interacts with. He is truly a role model for kindness and positivity, and our classroom is a better place because of him. Maverick, you are truly deserving of this recognition. Congratulations on being North Elementary Student of the Month. We are very proud of you.
Congratulations, Maverick. And now we will introduce our South Elementary Student of the Month, and Mrs. Hollingsworth is going to do that for us.
South Elementary is proud to introduce Miss Bretta Burnell as this month's Student of the Month. Bretta is a student in Mrs. Terry's second grade class. She lives with her mom, dad, and sister. She has barn cats and is excited to get a goat to show in third grade at the fair. But she's going to show a friend's goat this year at Mini 4-H. I'm excited to watch her do that this summer. When you first meet Bretta, you'll notice what a kind, outgoing, and happy young woman she is. She actually has a very infectious smile and loves to talk. Bretta goes above and beyond to help any student or staff member at South. She's encouraging and happy with anyone she speaks to. In her spare time, Bretta also likes to do crafts. She likes to create her own crafts using her grandma's supplies. One of her favorite crafts she's made was using pom-poms to create a caterpillar. This has fueled her interest in becoming an artist when she grows up. Bretta also plays softball and loves to bet. She also does ballet and was recently a soldier in the Nutcracker. According to Bretta, what makes South Elementary great is all of the people. She loves that everyone is so kind and helpful, and her favorite thing to do at South Elementary is math class, as well as every one of her specials. She loves art, music, and STEM the most. If Bretta could spend her day however she wanted, she would have a carnival at the school so that we could all go on bouncy houses and get our faces painted. She also would like an amusement park to come to the school because she really wants to try a roller coaster. When asked who's been the best influence in her life, Bretta said Mrs. Terry. Bretta said that Mrs. Terry has helped her learn to read and that she also helps her when her work gets too hard. Bretta said that Mrs. Terry is so helpful and that's why she's learned to be so helpful to others. Bretta was nominated by Mrs. Terry. Mrs. Terry had the following to say about Bretta. Bretta has shown outstanding friendship in second grade. She goes above and beyond to make sure everyone in the classroom feels safe, included, and happy. Bretta has helped one particular student in the classroom. This student struggled in the morning to come down to the nurse's office each day. Bretta has been able to walk the student down, being a peer, giving her a motivating talk, and just someone to be there for her. Bretta told the student that they were brave and she believed in her. The student then went and did this immediately. This student came back and actually told Mrs. Terry how safe and motivated they were to go to the nurse's office because of how Bretta made them feel. Bretta continues to walk this peer down every morning and be there for this friend as her peer does something that is hard for them. Bretta is an amazing role model at South by showing how her words can mean more than you know. Congratulations, Bretta, on being South Elementary Student of the Month.
Congratulations, Bretta. And Mrs. Berkey will introduce our middle school student of the month.
All right. It is my honor to introduce Colton Ryan as the December Student of the Month here at DCMS. Colton, who's a 5th grader, has shown exceptional character, leadership, and enthusiasm for learning, making him a standout member of our school community. Colton was born in Danville, but began his schooling in Monrovia before returning in 2nd grade. He lives with his parents, Courtney and Jeff, and cherishes time with his close-knit family. He told me all about spending time with his grandparents, Teresa and Richard, and his aunt and uncle who live nearby. Outside of school, Colton says that he likes spending time with his family. They like to spend time exploring science kits about frogs, fish, and bats. He's also an avid football player. He's a part of the Danville Junior Football League, and he's playing both an offensive and defensive lineman position. He particularly enjoys defense, where he gets to tackle. This year, he earned a spot on the All-Stars team, and while they didn't win their 2nd game, he told me how proud they were to hold their seasoned opponents to just 1 score. When Colton dreams of the future, he sees himself coaching football at the college level or for an NFL football team, with a special love for trick plays like the wildcat formation, which he told me all about. At school, Colton has acclimated well to the middle school environment. He shares that he really likes how our design keeps 7th and 8th graders away from 5th and 6th graders. His favorite subject is science, where they recently enjoyed a project making ice cream, and he successfully avoided the rookie mistake of getting salt into the mix. He spoke highly of his two teachers from Danville, Mrs. Starwolt, who made learning fractions fun, and Mrs. Smorella, who he described as kind and full of helpful knowledge. Colton's teachers all speak highly of his character and leadership. Mrs. Smorella highlighted his servant-hearted nature, noting that he is a friend to everyone and consistently serves as a role model in the classroom. Ms. Harlett praised his maturity, his kindness, and his ability to encourage classmates, particularly those who may struggle or need extra support. Mrs. Sloan described Colton as reliable, respectful, and always willing to go the extra mile for others. His consistent positivity and dedication make him an invaluable part of his classroom community. When Colton isn't busy at school or on the football field, he enjoys fishing with his dad. While he caught his first bluegill at just 4 or 5 years old, he admits he left the tricky task of removing it from the hook to someone else. I shared my fishing tip about kissing the fish for good luck, but Colton said he'll stick to his own methods. Colton exemplifies the values we strive to instill at DCMS: kindness, perseverance, and a commitment to growth. We are so proud to recognize him as our December Student of the Month. Good job, Colton.
Congratulations, Colton. And Dr. Hammond will introduce our high school student of the month.
This month, it is a privilege to recognize Jonah Clodfelder as our student of the month. Jonah is a senior, and he has made a significant impression on his science teacher, Mrs. Jackson. Mrs. Jackson wrote, "Jonah Clodfelder is a remarkable 18-year-old who exemplifies resilience and determination in the face of adversity. Despite undergoing surgery multiple times, Jonah continues to swim, refusing to let challenges define his capabilities. His perseverance in the pool is matched by his dedication in the classroom, where he shines as an incredible student with an impressive work ethic. Jonah's commitment to excellence is evident in all areas of his life, from his academic achievements to his passion for playing bridge. Beyond his talents, he is known for being respectful and thoughtful, always showing kindness and consideration to those around him. Jonah's ability to push through hardships and stay focused on his goals makes him a true inspiration and the reason the science department chose him for Student of the Month. This fall, Jonah will attend either Ball State or DePaul University. His plans are to study business with a focus on finance. Jonah's favorite subject is math, and he enjoys working with numbers, making his decision to study finance very natural. He shared that he has a great deal of admiration for his Graham. He sees her as a role model, and plus, she is family. Recently, the two of them have been spending Sundays together playing bridge. Jonah indicated that his skills have improved, especially around the bid aspect of the game. Jonah is all the things that Mrs. Jackson described and so much more. There's a great deal of depth to Mr. Clodfelder that comes from his ability to persevere through life's challenges. Congratulations on being our student of the month.
Congratulations, Jonah, and to all of our students of the month. And thank you to our parents for having such great kids, and our teachers and administrators for taking time to recognize them. Students, thank you for making the Danville difference. We appreciate it, and we're proud of you.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda, student commendations, Dr. Schaefer.
Thank you, Mrs. Chair. And we're so pleased this month to be able to recognize 3 of our student athletes. The Indiana Football Coaches Association recently had their winter meeting, or annual meeting, and selected the all-state football players. And we were proud to have 3 of them named this year, 2 seniors and a junior. So Jace Scrafton, come on up, Jace. Jace is being recognized for the all-state wide receiver. Jace, congratulations. Yeah, stay right here, Jace. We'll have to get your picture and memorialize this. Sutton Fullwider. And Sutton received the All-State Defensive Back. All-State. And Paxton Trump. Paxton is receiving the 4A Junior All-State Offensive Lineman Award. Mrs. Harvey, I don't know if you had a few comments you would like to make.
Coach Comer couldn't be here with us this evening, but he wanted to share some information about these boys. First of all, I can tell you that it's been a pleasure to get to work with them as athletes over the past 3 and 4 years. For Jace Grafton, who was recognized as a wide receiver this season alone, Jace had 39 catches, 571 yards, 14.6 per carry. Per carry, and 57 yards per game, and he had 10 touchdowns for the season. Sutton Fullwider, who was recognized for as a defensive back, he also has some offensive stats, but we're going to just focus on the defensive back stats. He had 22 solo tackles, 6 assists, 2.8 tackles per game, 3 interceptions for 98 yards, and he broke up 15 passes. Okay, Paxton Trump is an O-lineman. Unfortunately, they don't break all of those statistics down for the O-linemen, so I can't rattle off a bunch of numbers. But what I can say is that he does lead our offensive line. He's been a 3-year starter as a junior. He is the strongest player on the team. And I do know that Coach Comer has huge expectations for Paxton to lead next year. So these 3 guys have represented us well. Let's give them a round of applause.
Gentlemen, congratulations. We're proud of you. And on behalf of the Board of School Trustees, congratulations and better luck next year.
Thank you, Dr. Schaefer. Next item on the agenda is community input. There are none on the list, but if anyone would like to step forward, please do so. Seeing none, you'll step forward? All right.
We just got in from Grand Rapids, Michigan.
All right, if you would step to the microphone and state your name and your address.
Hi, yes, my name is Ashley Riley, and I'm from a company called Educatious. Can you hear me all right? And I live in Grand Rapids, Michigan, but I oversee international students along with Erin Freshour in the back that attend Danville Community High School. So we just wanted to meet everybody at the board meeting today, to share a little bit about a program We have been working with Danville since 2018, and we help bring in international students from all over the world. They're tuition-paying students. We are able to pay our host families a monthly stipend and bring cultural diversity into the community, which is so important in all of our communities. So, and then most recently, this last semester, we had a student, Joe, from Brazil, who was here that just left recently, and the students love communities like Danville. They love the all-American feel, really. You know, they get to experience football for the first time. They get to live with a host family for either a semester or a full school year, and it's really immerse themselves into the American experience. So Danville, from what I can tell, is an amazing community.
All right, well, thank you very much for sharing. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
I would like to take a minute real quick and send a thank you out to our maintenance department for all the hard work they did last week clearing our sidewalks and our parking lots. And an even bigger thank you to all of our bus drivers who drove the buses all week long on, I feel like, roads that maybe just recently got cleared. So I know last week was a challenge. So thank you for driving and keeping our students safe. Thank you. All right, we'll take a short 30-second break for those of you who would like to exit the room. We appreciate having you, but thank you.
We're not that particular.
Yeah, but all the vendors are doing that.
There wasn't a complaint, so.
All right, moving right along. Next item on the agenda, consider approval of the December 9th regular school board meeting minutes. So I need a motion to approve the December 9th regular meeting school board minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Ward. Comments or questions?
Is it the 9th or the 11th? Because in our notes it says 9 on the agenda meeting, but 11 in the recommended action.
I feel like it was the 9th.
Okay, it was just. Okay, it was the 9th.
Okay.
9th.
All right, comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda, consider approval of the December 9th executive meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Ward. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hempsel. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda, quarterly board goal update. Dr. Schaefer.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Cherry. And this is the fourth presentation this year for the fourth quarter of the board goals. So we'll walk through these one at a time. Our first goal is on district finances, which is on budget efficiency, which is there were three parts: reducing the debt service rate, recovering from deficit spending pattern, and maintaining fiscal responsibility and management of the scope of the current building project. So on the first part, on goal 1, we did reduce the rate from 87 to 86. As the board met earlier in the year, we decided to go to 86 cents instead of down to 85 to allow us to pay back some debt a little more quickly. But we are definitely on target there with the direction we wanted to go. On the deficit spending pattern, I am happy to say that we have moved that completely. It's a cash flow issue. It's not really a budget in terms of the amount of money. It's a cash flow change. We have a positive cash flow now ongoing in the education fund. So we have recovered a year early from that. Our target was to get there by 2026. We have achieved that here in 2025. But we will be monitoring it through the next year because that can ebb and flow a little bit through the year. And then the third piece of this was to maintain fiscal responsibility and management of the scope and budget of our overall building projects. And we are on time and on budget with our current projects, primarily at the high school and at South Elementary. We have $89.49 million left of our overall $151 million bond issuance. So that is going well, and we are doing well with the project. Although Mother Nature's thrown us a few snow and cold days here since Christmas, but I know the teams also build in some a little bit of buffer for that as well. So in our second goal on staff culture, that also had multiple pieces in it, which is monitoring and reporting quarterly on the employment position fill rates. I'm happy to say this quarter our fill rates actually went up just a tick. We were at 97.5 last quarter. We're up to 97.6 this quarter. So that's going very well. Also monitoring and reporting quarterly on our student-teacher ratios. And this is the fourth quarter, so we have done that consistently through the year. I can tell you, as we're halfway through the year now, or a little bit more than that, our ratios are still good. We have looked at those in detail, and we are still within our ratios. The only places we may be out of those a little bit are some of our larger group classes like physical education, perhaps choir, those types of classes where we actually want a little bit more than the typical classroom size in there. But other than that, we are in really good shape. Although we are continuing to receive students, we have a few withdrawals through the year too, so it kind of balances out. But I think our net student enrollment is up a little bit more than it was in October, but not a lot more. I think it's probably in that 10 to 15 students more, which is just a good healthy rate as we move through the year, but not so much that we're pushing the envelope on class sizes. And then our third goal area, the third part of staff culture is monitoring and reporting quarterly on the reasons for which employees exit the school corporation. That is also in the dashboard, and this dashboard is live in real time on the school corporation website. But we have now done a full year of receiving that information, and all those details and data are in the right-hand panel of the current dashboard. And things are going well. I think we've had about 72, if I remember right, employees turnover in the district through the entire year. That's all areas. That's support staff, classified staff. I think we had about 13 complete the survey, so we're about 20% on those that are completing the exit surveys to give us a little bit more information. But we're finding, again, most people are leaving for family or personal reasons, that type of natural reasons for people exiting employment. And then our third goal is on building maintenance. If there's one goal that we may not be quite 100% yet, we're really close though, it's on this one, and that is we had put in place our maintenance plan and software system. We have populated that. We've done training. We've done all the things that we can do. Now it just takes some time to finalize getting in the blueprints and schematics and those types of things to make it fully operational. The software itself is fully operational. We've been trained. Just until you put all the things in, you can't harvest all that back out. So our maintenance team is still finishing off putting in some of those pieces. But the work order system is loaded and fully operational. The calendaring is loaded and fully operational. It's just a matter of doing the schematics and getting those blueprints put into the system. They've all been scanned. It's just getting them all in. And of course, any new plans, as we add on new areas of buildings, those will have to be loaded in there as well. That's the only piece that we're lacking yet of having that fully complete, and that's why I've still left it as a 3, not a 4. But we continue to work on that. We'll do so through the spring, and I would guess that by the end of the school year we'll be 100% there. So I don't know if board members have any questions, but that is our fourth quarter review of the board goals. They were good goals set by the board. We'll be looking to set some new ones here probably in February.
Comments or questions? No?
Who's doing the inputting for all the information?
That is Richard and team. We also get support from our architects too, in terms of getting schematics and drawings to be able to load that information.
Like all the new stuff, they're able to get on there and put the new building updates in.
Correct.
Because I know it was in depth as going North Elementary and on a chiller or boiler, a pump that's running there, you're going to have the nameplate and know exactly how many horse that motor is, and that's going to take a lot of time for those guys to get that entered while they're still trying to work on stuff. Yeah, there's a process of tagging equipment too that has to happen and barcoding it, and then schematics have to be loaded. They're going to match all that, and that's why it's been a slow process. And that's something I think we may need to reflect a little bit too and see, is there some sort of third-party service that can help us get over the hump to get the first part of that done. That's tedious.
It is,
to say the least.
It is. Yeah.
Isn't that an operational thing to do this piece?
It is, yes.
So couldn't our coordinator of operations be assisting them?
Yes, and she may be. I don't know who all on that team has been involved with that. There's a few guesses I would make in terms of some of the personnel that would be good at that, but she certainly could.
I guess my point is we got a little leeway there with
Yeah, this was,
on why that maybe it's not quite. We don't have to feel bad about it not being a.
No, and it's always going to be an ongoing process of putting information in. Just so you sort of have this bulk of it, you want to get fed into the system first, and it just takes a while to get that done. And to your point, they're busy doing other things too.
Yeah, I think it's a really good program to have.
wasn't the original idea to kind of get this in place by the time the construction project was done, coming close, so that going forward.
So we're on track. I mean,
yeah, it is. Then we'll be able to pull out and set what I call heat maps in terms of setting timing and then grouping projects together. If you say, okay, this part of a building, for example, in year X, in that we want to make sure that we redo bulb ballast, we redo carpet, we set that in a budget and then can roll that over time through a 2 or 3 year period across buildings. That will allow us to keep up with maintenance items much more efficiently than we've been able to in the past.
Yep, it'd be good. So if you're not golfing this summer, Terry, you can probably come over and input some stuff.
That's like you can on a rainy day.
Yeah.
All right, anything else? Next item on the agenda, Treasurer's Report, Mr. Herbert.
Thank you, Mrs. Cherry. Let me get back over here. All right. Our December fund rebalance report in our property and state tax supported funds, we had $9,343,455. Excuse me. In the education fund, we had actual expenditures of $1,873,371. We had our debt service fund with actual expenditures of $5,397,282. And our operations fund had expenditures of $896,554. We transferred this month $342,060 from the education fund to the operations fund, and that brought our total transfer for the year to 10.41% of the total education fund revenue, or 11.29% of our total state tuition support. So I would ask for the board's approval here of our December Treasurer's Report, and more than happy to answer any questions.
Motion to approve Treasurer's Report as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Ward. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda, approval of quarterly financial report. Mr. Herbert.
Thank you, Mrs. Cherry. Here at the end of the fourth quarter, being the end of the year, we had spent or encumbered 106.05% of our education fund. We had also spent or encumbered 109.19% of our operations fund. And at the end of the fourth quarter, we had actually collected 103.14% of the revenue in the education and operations funds together. Obviously, with those numbers being a little bit over the 100% target that we would try to shoot for, we do leave room in there for that to happen. You got to remember that as we go through this budgeting process, we really did this back in October of 23. So we're looking at 15 months ago when we're trying to set these targets. And over the past year, you've all been very well aware that we've grown by over 150 students. Obviously, with those students comes additional expenses, and so does revenue. So that's why you're seeing a little bit higher percentage there for both revenue and expenses on both sides. But still definitely well within the confines of where we should be, and definitely not affecting our cash flow in a negative way. So again, that's the quarterly report there. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Motion to approve quarterly financial report as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hempsel. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda, approval of claims. Mr. Herbert.
Thank you, Mrs. Cherry. We had claims here for the month of pre-written $5,655,775.70. We had traditional claims of $697,420.45. bringing our total claims for the month to $6,353,196.15. Just as a reminder, that's a pretty substantial number this month because we did have to make our lease payments that we do make in June and also in December. So that's why that's a lot higher than you would see on a typical month. So that is the claims here for the month. I would ask for the board's approval, and again, more than happy to answer any questions.
Motion to approve claims as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Ward. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hempsel. Comments or questions?
I have a question about the portable bus lifts.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was more so as I was looking through the documentation. What fund or bond did we pay for those from?
So those came from the construction fund. It's for the transportation building that we're working on. And the reason why we obviously spent a substantial amount of money there so quickly, because we're not ready for those to come in yet, is they were having a sale at the end of the year. So we ended up saving a little over $15,000 on that purchase.
They are new, though?
They are brand new, yes. It's the portable lifts that will go into the new transportation facility. But yeah, so it will come out of the construction fund is where it's going to come from.
But within that, I think, as I looked through there, it seemed like it came out of maybe even the bond related to 2024.
It was, because we haven't issued those dollars for the transportation project. That's where eventually it will be paid. But we paid for it out of the bonds from the 24 GO bond. We're allowed to pay that out of there. But if you remember, as we go through the process, we do a reimbursement resolution. And so that's what will give us the authority then that once we issue the transportation bonds, we'll be able to essentially put that money back to the 24 GO, where that would come from. And again, we didn't want to use operational dollars. We didn't want to use the rainy day fund. So that's why we used the 24 GO.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda, approval of payroll claims. Mr. Herbert.
Thank you, Mrs. Cherry. We have 3 payroll claims here for your approval. We had a December 20th payroll of $856,157.85. We had our January 2nd claim of $2,978.39, and also a January 2nd claim of $729,208.97. That brings our total payroll claims for the month to $1,588,345.21. So I would ask for the board's approval of our payroll claims, and again, more than happy to answer any questions.
Motion to approve payroll claims as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Ward. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda, old business, Dr. Schaefer.
We have no old business this month.
All right.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, consider approval of personnel recommendations, Dr. Schaefer.
Thank you. The personnel report is before you. Would note that retirement notices are beginning to roll in ahead of the February 1st target date for certified staff. So we're seeing a handful of those come in, and wouldn't be surprised to see a few more before the February meeting. With that, I would recommend approval of the personnel report as submitted.
All right, motion to approve personnel report as submitted.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hempsel. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Ward. Comments or question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
3 in favor, 1 opposing. Next item on the agenda, consider approval of early literacy grant. Mrs. Walker.
Yes, the Indiana Department of Education, their early literacy grant it was established through a House Enrolled Act, and it rewards schools and teachers for improving foundational reading skills as measured by our iRead 3 assessment. Payments can be made to instructional staff responsible for the implementation and delivery of literacy and reading instruction through grade 3 for the last school year, and those who maintain employment within the district on the date of distribution. This can include both certified teachers and instructional assistants. These stipends are not issued to administrators or central office staff, and you as the local governing body shall approve the grant distribution. So we are very excited to report that due to the growth of our iRead 3 scores this past year, we saw a significant increase in our distribution. It was just a little over 10,000 last year, and this year we are at 62,000. And so that is an exciting increase in that amount. That earned us the most money of any of the other county schools, and that's even when you factor in their additional student counts. So that's really good news. So our eligible teachers will receive take-home pay of approximately $852.77, and eligible IAs, instructional assistants, will receive approximately $426.38. And then just looking forward, just to kind of put out, we do anticipate this amount to decrease for the upcoming year. We increased a lot this last year, but we don't have a whole lot of wiggle room there to increase the same amount again. And so the amount will probably drop down to something that we were used to last year. But we are really excited to have this 1 year bump in that amount going home. So tonight I recommend distribution to the eligible certified staff at grades K through 3 in accordance with the guidelines for distribution.
Motion to approve the early literacy grant as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Ward. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hempsel. Comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes unanimously.
And I'd just like to congratulate our staff on their efforts to help the kids grow and improve, and really did a nice job, and certainly to our kids and their parents as well.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, consider approval of new high school course request. Mrs. Walker.
Thank you. The high school has requested one new course to begin during the 2025-26 school year. They would like to offer an introduction to 3D art class. This class is one that we have not offered in the past. We have 2D art right now. We have not had an intro to 3D art class, and it will help right now. For this next upcoming year, we won't be able to offer ceramics due to construction, and so this will give another art option, and hopefully in the future we can offer then both 3D art and ceramics when we have our art classes back. So tonight I recommend the addition of Introduction to 3D Art as a new course for the 25-26 school year.
Motion to approve the new high school course as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Ward. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hempsel. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda, consider approval of second semester 2024-2025 non-resident transfer students. Mrs. Walker.
Thank you again. So I have included in your notes a list of students who applied for and have received administrative approval to transfer as a non-resident transfer student following our initial August approval date. We have an ongoing policy to receive transfers through the year as long as we have space and capacity per grade level. These students have received initial acceptance in accordance with these limits and in the order of any wait lists that we had from the beginning of the year. You'll notice that most students on the list are listed as returning. They were either current students who have moved out since the school year started but still want to remain in our corporation, or they were returning students that we since realized no longer live in the district, but they hadn't informed us of an address change. So tonight I recommend the approval of these additional non-resident transfer students.
Motion to approve the second semester 2024-2025 non-resident transfer students as submitted.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Ward. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hempsel. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously.
Mrs. Chair, if I could just mention, I want to appreciate the work that Morgan's been doing on this for the last couple of years, and Penny Long was doing too at South, and continues to help track our students who are non-resident transfers over the last couple of years. They've done such a good job of really being able to define who's where, which is a hard thing to do with a lot of kids coming and going. So we're so much more accurate with our numbers and our resident students and non-resident students than we used to be. So I appreciate their work in making that happen.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, Superintendent's Report. Dr. Schaefer.
Thank you, Mrs. Cherry. I'm going to keep it really brief tonight because I know we have the Board of Finance meeting. Mrs. Walker and Mr. Herbert and myself did a quick walkthrough at the high school today on construction. It's coming along nicely. We're through the new classroom areas. They're not finished yet, but there's actually to the point of paint on walls and ceiling grid going in. They have laminate to put on walls yet and finish out the ceiling grid, and carpeting's not in yet, but that's going to be so much nicer, and seeing those block walls is reassuring. Nice big windows also on the north side of the building there. It's going to be a really nice space for learning to happen. We see the front entrance forming up. The new office suite and the guidance suite is going to add a lot more support for what we're able to do there for our community. So I appreciate the work that's getting done. The pool continues to come along. I got about half of the roof decking over the pool now. They have actually started some, I say the big stuff, some of the large physical demolition in the pool area. They've taken out the wall now that used to head into the old shower spaces, and that's all been torn out. The operating room's all been torn out. So they're really starting to move concrete in that area. So it's exciting to see that coming along. At South, I'd mentioned in my last writing to the board that the cafeteria is now open. It's a beautiful space. There is a wall to move there. That'll be done this summer, and staff are working within that right now, kind of learning new routines with more kids and a new space, but it looks wonderful in there. So this summer will actually start on the last wing of classrooms. We are working on the second wing of classrooms right now, which is really on the south side of the building of the existing classrooms. Those are being renovated right now. Demolition on those is pretty much complete, so they're going to start building them back up. That'll happen between now and the end of the school year. And then this summer, the west, or the far west end of the building, that pod of classrooms will be done over the summer, and then we will be done at South. There'll also be some gym work that'll happen to put new flooring in and take out the temporary wall. Those kind of things will be happening in the summer as well. But so it's, it goes slow, but it goes fast too. To think that we'll be done by August, we'll be completely done with the South project. That's going to include moving the construction trailer out, restoring the laydown yard that will be restored and reseeded. The construction trailer will be moved over to the transportation site, and the gentleman there from Meyer Najum will start on that project then starting next fall. So just a quick update on construction. Also wanted to be thinking about a potential February retreat date. I had given you some dates that are evening dates. If you want to look at weekend dates, we certainly can. I know this board's wishes have been to try to do those in the evening. I think this year we could probably do it in one evening, probably a 2 or 3 hour session, whatever you would have available, but gave you the potential dates of February 4th, 5th, 6th, 19th, 20th, 25th, or 26th. I don't know if we can decide a date tonight, but at least want to make sure those are on your radar. I can text you, or you can text me, and try to figure out which one of those dates might work the best, or if we need to look at others, we can do that as well. I did try to stay away from Valentine's Day, and that week we have a board meeting on Monday, Valentine's Day on Friday, and knew that might be a busy week, so I just stayed off of that one because I also have some community meetings on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday that week as well.
What are we going to do there then? We're just going
I
to text it?
I think we just text her and need to see what Austin.
I know I can't do the 6th.
Okay, good to know. If anybody else
That's
has
the
a
only
date you know
date
we
I
can't
can't
do.
do.
Any other no due dates?
I can do the 4th and 5th and 6th. I'm big on that.
I kind of suggest more the 4th and 5th, just simply in terms of getting started on the goals earlier rather
That
than.
would be my choice to go earlier. All right, I'll check with Austin and see if
4th
he
or
can
5th.
Okay.
get back to
4th
me
or
and
5th,
see what he
Great.
thinks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
That helps.
Fantastic.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right. The next item on the agenda is announcements, which are Martin Luther King Jr. Day is January 20th, and there'll be no school that day. Our next regularly scheduled school board meeting is February 10th at 6:30 here in the district training room at Danville Middle School. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Ward. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hempsel. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The regular school board meeting is adjourned.
I think if we can give Mr. Rader and Mrs. Long just a couple minutes to shift things over technology-wise, that would be great. I don't know if the board members need a break.